About 10 years ago, Catherine Grace O'Connell says she was on death's door. She was mentally and physically ill and was giving up.
What a tough situation. Well, Holly Menino talked with her about what she was going through and how she was able to transform her life. Here's part one of that interview.
In this month's Ageless in Seattle segment, we're focused on transformation, and that can be a physical or a mental transformation. Joining me now is Catherine Grace O'Connell, the creator of the Ageless in Seattle movement. Catherine, let's talk about your transformation. Something very profound happened to you 10 years ago. Tell us what happened.
Thank you, Holly. I had a near-death experience. So I was diagnosed with late-stage Lyme disease. It was diagnosed very, very late. So the doctors actually traced it back over 10 years. So by the time I was diagnosed, I literally was a dead woman. The doctor said there's really nothing more we can do. After spending a year bedridden, seizures, organs shutting down, last rites, and then, like I said, a near-death experience when I left my body. Now, to be perfectly honest, I was not in a good place. I mean, a lot of people out there with chronic illness or life-threatening illness or just in really despair or depression aren't necessarily in a good place. And I really thought it was time to go. I had no fear of dying. I was like, up there is pretty cool. I'm not so sure down here. So I'd pretty much given up. But obviously, when I survived, I realized there was a bigger reason, a bigger purpose, something greater out there. Call it God, creator, whatever you'd like to call it, wanted me here. So I had this real awakening and internal reckoning where I had to really look at myself and realize I was the one who was in my own way. I was the one keeping myself in this condition. I wasn't responsible for my illness, but I was responsible for the trauma and the abuse that happened to me, what I took it to mean about me. So we are not responsible for the things that happen to us, but we are responsible for really the stories we tell ourselves. So in my case, I had been told horrible things about myself, and I began to believe them. So over time, those beliefs became me. So I disempowered myself to the point of literally not existing anymore. So I realized if I was the one killing myself, hating myself to death, couldn't I love myself back to life? And so I had this real moment with my daughter where she came over one day and I was still bedridden, still in despair, and this was after the near-death experience, and she said, "Mom, what would you do if you were well?" And I said, I'd travel the world. And I literally looked around like, where did that come from? Because at that point I was in despair and I didn't really have hopeful thoughts. But I realized there was something so much bigger inside of me. I had dreams. I had a reason for being. So in that moment, I made a decision to be well. I thought, if I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be well. And so I put Lyme disease aside, really decided to create an entirely new reality. And in order to do that, I had to change my beliefs. I had to transform the way I saw myself, what I thought about myself, the story I'd been telling myself, the things that were holding me back. And so, yeah, that was really my awakening. And then there was a whole process I did in order to transform my life and to save my own life.
Was that the turning point for you, the conversation with your daughter? Was there another moment that made you just really change course? And then how did you change course?
I know it sounds kind of crazy, right? So that was one big light bulb moment with my daughter when I realized that I had this bigger part inside of me that had this dream and this life that she wanted to live that I consciously wasn't aware of. There was another light bulb moment, and that was really working with a top infectious disease specialist in LA who said to me, yes, you have Lyme disease. Yes, it's very serious, but your bigger issue is the trauma. Heal the trauma. So, and what he really meant by that was what I was sharing before. It's trauma happens to us, abuse happens to us, things happen to us in life. It's not those things that matter. It's the stories we tell ourselves. So I really had to do a deep investigation into my inner world and into the negativity I had toward myself, not toward others. I did a brilliant job of putting a happy face on, wearing this mask around where everybody thought I was okay, but inside I wasn't okay. And so I had to really be real about myself and the things I'd been telling myself and begin telling myself a whole new story. Now, when you are on death's door, you're not exactly positive, and it was really hard to generate those feelings. So I ended up coming up with some tools and using them for myself every single day, and really starting to go from feeling really negative like this and just starting to generate positive feelings and beliefs inside of me, and it started propelling my life forward. And I refused to think of illness. I refused to put like one tiptoe into Lyme disease. And since that day, 10 years ago, I had the near-death experience. I have never once thought of Lyme disease. I've never once fed that illness energy. And today, I'm completely free of the illness. And I did stop all treatment. Now, I don't recommend that. But for me, I knew that the root was trauma. I knew that in some way, I was literally killing myself with my own thoughts and beliefs about myself.
Well, those are difficult words, but we do hope they do help other people who might be in similar situations. And we will have part 2 of Holly's interview ahead in our 9 o'clock hour.
Yeah, she's certainly vulnerable for sharing her story with Holly and with our viewers here, because you never know. There are probably other women going through similar situations in life, obstacles that they have to face and encounter, but she's living proof you can get through those things.
And it is a good reminder to check in with your loved ones, your friends, your neighbors, your communities. We're going into the holiday season surrounded by so much cheer, but it can also be a really tough time for a lot of other people too.
You're right about that.
Watch out for everybody.
Tell me about the 3 tools that you used and you would like to share with others too when it comes to this.
Sure. So these tools are free. They're available to anyone. So I started with something called mirror work. Louise Hay developed mirror work, and she is the founder of Hay House. She's long gone now, but she's considered the mother of self-help, and she herself developed this by her own healing cancer in her own life. So we all have a mirror in front of us, and we all brush our teeth, at least I hope so, in the morning.
We hope so.
We hope so. So what I would do is tie this ritual to getting up in the morning and brushing my teeth. And I would look in the mirror at myself, and I wasn't looking at my physical self because I looked awful. So let's be really real here. It can be really hard and awkward when you start this process. So I was looking at something deeper inside myself. So I would look into the mirror and I would say, I love you. You are beautiful. You are courageous. You are powerful. You are a beautiful spiritual being. You are so full of light. All of these things. And so what happens over time, these are considered positive affirmations. Over time, they start seeping into your subconscious. Now, to be really real, if you're in a negative, dark space, it can be a little tricky because you do have these other beliefs inside of you that are going, no, I'm not, right? But over time, if you are intending that to go to the deeper part of yourself, so I was connecting with, call it your soul, this deeper part of me, not my physical self, but something far greater than me. And over time, those beliefs now started counteracting and changing and transforming the old beliefs inside of me. So another tool that I used was meditations and mantras. And I know I've shared this before, but meditation is so important, especially right now. So many people are in dark places or suffering or in fear or anxiety. We just finished an election, right? So it's really, really important to use meditation that helps us to stay present. When we're in fear or anxiety, we are projecting into the future. So meditation helps us to stay in the present moment. The only time we can transform our lives, we can attract good things into our lives, is in this present moment. And that's where a mantra is really, really helpful. A mantra is man and tra, means mind, vehicle. It helps our mind travel ideally to a really wonderful place. Now, when I was in this really dark space, I chose a mantra called Om Namah Shivaya. What it means is I am consciousness, but the real reason you use a mantra like that, it's a sound vibration. So oftentimes if we start with using language, our subconscious will start counteracting that, saying, no, that's not true. Like, again, I am beautiful, I am beautiful, I am beautiful. Instead, every time I had a negative thought, I would start saying to myself, Om Namah Shivaya. And over time, I literally had so much fun. I started singing it inside of myself. But what you're doing there is using this mantra to start working in your subconscious mind. So automatically, you start counteracting negative thoughts with this sound vibration that literally over time makes them kind of evaporate, shall I say. But it's an incredibly powerful tool.
Okay, any other tools that you used during your time?
There's a really fun one. So when I was in this really dark place, my daughter created something called Wonder Cards, and all they were, and you don't need physical cards to do this. So basically what she did, she created cards. There was a picture of me on there, and it had a question on it. And that question would be something like, I wonder what wonderful things are going to happen to me today. I wonder what incredible friends I'm going to make this week. I wonder what incredible place I'm going to visit this summer. I wonder what my life is going to be like by the end of the year. What wonder does, it opens up our imagination. It doesn't bump up against our subconscious, because wonder is an open energy. Our subconscious isn't going, no, you don't wonder that. So it's a really wonderful tool. And you can also go on wonder walks. You can go outside just enjoying nature and sit there and wonder all of these wonderful things that can happen in your life, because it will open up your energy, it'll open up your imagination, it'll start generating positive feelings inside of you. And why positivity is so important. Think of it like a magnet. Positivity attracts people to us, things to us, places to us, all kinds of wonderful things, whereas negativity repels things. And I recommend try one. Just try one tool, experiment with it, see how it makes you feel, and see, is your life starting to change? Are good things starting to come into your life? For me, it transformed everything for me.
What is one piece of advice you would like to give to somebody that might be struggling right now?
Don't give up. Don't give up. There is always hope, and there's always light. And I know that might sound trite when you're going through that dark night of the soul, but trust me, if I can do it, anyone can. So gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. There is always something to be grateful for. So if we can literally, when we're feeling really dark, maybe it's that puppy by your side. Maybe it is a friend who happens to call or text you. Maybe it's just looking out your window at the beauty of nature. So don't give up. Focus on something to be grateful for, anything to be grateful for. No matter what you're going through, there is always something to be grateful for, and that automatically helps us to feel more positive, more hopeful, and to begin carrying on.
Yeah, gratitude in this month of Thanksgiving, but also all year round. Catherine, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Holly. It's always a delight to be with you.